To design a future government, we first must look back at how we got where we are today. What we're really investigating is how we want to organize and decide the rules of our society. We have 300 million people, and we need to figure out a solution that is most fair to everyone. We're coming to a point in our history where we have the technology and resources to actually solve the problems that plague our society. We're moving from scarcity to abundance, but we're living with a system that was built in a different era. Hundreds of years ago, access to information was not like it is today. The development of search engines ushered in an era of information abundance. You can look up anything you want, anytime you want. We also have communication abundance. You can talk to anyone in the world at any time for free. And while it may not seem like it, we also have an abundance of food. There's an epidemic of obesity in the United States. If we took all the calories consumed by each person and distributed those equally across everyone, nobody would be hungry. What this means is the actual problem is not a resource issue, but a distribution issue. We need a government that has its priorities aligned with the people and works towards allocating resources to the right places. When the United States was formed, the most efficient choice for our system of government was a representative democracy. A representative democracy is a form of government where all citizens participate equally in electing representatives. These representatives then work together on the proposal, development, and creation of laws. Today, things are different. Our representatives don't really represent us. Big business was able to figure out ways to funnel money to our elected officials and get their personal agendas put before the greater good. One surprising fact is that only about 55% of people vote for each presidential election. So in essence, the president was selected by only 27% of the people. The question we need to ask is, with all the technology we have today, what would be the ideal system of government? I think the logical evolution to explore after a representative democracy would be to transition to a direct democracy. A direct democracy is different in that the people directly represent themselves. The people vote directly for new laws and policies instead of a Congress or Senate of elected officials. The reason we didn't build a direct democracy from the start is that it would have been impossible. Information spread much slower back then, and we were constrained geographically by long distances. Today, we don't have the same bottlenecks. Now, the question becomes, how do we practically implement a direct democracy, and how do we protect it against manipulation? One idea that solves these requirements would be to give every US citizen a physical device that's used specifically for voting. This device would be known as your voting portal and would operate on a distributed blockchain, which means there's no point of centralized control. The control emerges when you have hundreds of millions of devices, each providing a small amount of computing power to the overall system. Taking a small amount of power from 300 million devices gives us essentially a huge cloud server, but no one person has the keys to that database. This means that the data cannot be manipulated by anyone remotely. It also means the system is fully transparent. You can't do anything sneaky or hide it under the rug because it will be publicly viewable on the blockchain. So we've solved the problem of remote manipulation and manipulation by people in power by distributing control fractionally across all 300 million Americans. Now that we have a way for each human to securely cast a vote, the next question is, what are the rules of voting? In the next episode, we'll explore the history of voting and answer tough questions like what is considered a majority and should everyone be allowed to vote? Part 3. Voting.